Hello everybody, this is EonShiKeno. Today I'm going to cover a Terran 2v2 fast Hellions build order. Now this build order revolves around getting Hellions out extremely fast, being very aggressive with the Hellions, and eventually getting blue flame. Now I'm going to walk through the build order, show exactly what you want to do, how to switch your buildings around to get Hellions out extremely fast, and in the very end show you how to control your Hellions. So let's get started on the build order. So this build is going to start out with a 10 supply depot. Now, next thing you're going to do is make your SAV, of course, and then eventually you're going to start your gas right after you make that 11th supply of SCV. Now, we're going to get gas first in this situation. That way we'll have enough gas to make a factory as soon as the barracks finishes. Now, we're going to have to finish the barracks first before you can start the factory, of course. And another critical thing here, as soon as your refinery finishes, instantly start putting people on that refinery because you're going to need 100 gas exactly whenever your barracks finishes. You might have a little bit more, but that's going to be fine because you're going to need to make a reactor also on your barracks. So as you can see here, we're actually going above the normal. Normally you get your orbital on 15, but in this situation we're going to delay it a little bit and continue with some more SAV production. So right as soon as your barracks finishes, you'll have enough gas to make a factory. You'll have enough to make a factory, and you'll have enough to make a reactor, and you'll have just enough minerals to make a orbital. So you want to do all three of these things as soon as you finish your barracks. Now, if you for some reason forgot to put your SCVs on gas earlier, and you're kind of a little bit short on gas, do the factory first because the factory takes longer to build than the reactor does. So as you can see here, going to start building the factory. Start making a reactor, and there you go, start making the command center. Now at this point you're not going to be producing any units, so this is the amount of time you'll have to make 2 supply depots. Now these supply depots are just, to get your supply ready so that whenever you start pumping out Hellions, you don't have to worry about making supply depots then. And you have a lot of extra money around this point in the build order, so it's really not going to be hurting you that much. So this is when you're going to want to make 2 supply depots. So one's being built up here, one's being built on there, calling down a mule. Now you can see here, you're going to want to swap the barracks with the factory, so that way you'll have your barracks on your reactor here, and you can pump out double Hellions as soon as they come out, 2 at a time. There we go. Now let me pause this for a second. One little trick you can do here, if you're playing against this build and you recognize, okay, he's going gas first, he's making a reactor on his barracks, what we can do is come in here with the probe or anything, or any type of a unit, like a SCV, anything, and you can just sit here and block the barracks, block the factory from landing, because the factory cannot land here. If there's something in the way, a probe, a pylon, anything, this reactor is going to be useless. He's going to have to kill that first, and that's just going to slow down his timing. And considering he's only making Hellions, so he'll essentially cutting his production in half until that whatever the unit or building is blocking this. So that's just a little tip for you guys out there in case you didn't already know that. Now, as soon as you start your first 2 Hellions, you should have enough gas to start a factory. Then as soon as you start your second factory, you'll want to spend your next amount of gas on a tech lab. Now, once again, we're going to do the little swap here where we swap out the barracks for the factory, and we'll have 2 factory, 1 with a reactor, 1 with the tech lab. Now, whenever you're doing this build order, you'll want to make supply depots, obviously, as you need supply. But you'll also want to make SCVs, of course. But the thing you want to prioritize is making Hellions. This build is to get Hellions out as fast as possible. And if you're not making Hellions as fast as possible, it kind of defeats the purpose of doing this build. So if you, for some reason, have to cut SCVs to do a continual production of Hellions, just go ahead and do that. Just because Hellions are your priority this game whenever you're doing this rush build. Now we'll see here, we move the barracks. Go ahead and move that barracks out of the way ahead of time. We're going to plop this factory down here on this tech lab and then start blue flame. You can see here the gas is about 150, so we already have enough gas for it. So as soon as that lands, start blue flame, continue to produce 2 Hellions out of this factory, and then just 1 Hellion, of course, out of your second factory. So here we've got a game between 2v2 teams, both like very high masters level players in 2v2, and this is a situation we'll see quite often whenever you're doing TVZ versus TVZ. Zergling Hellion is a really common combination in 2v2. So I want to talk about how you control your units, and in this situation we'll talk about Hellions. Now in a situation like this, I mean, the way you control your Hellions is very dependent on what your enemy's army composition is, but think of it like this. Think about Marines, how they're controlled whenever you have Marines versus Zerglings. You just want to shoot, run, shoot, run, shoot, run. You don't want the Marines to sit still, or in this case the Hellions to sit still long enough for the Zerglings to get a surround and then kill you off. Because once the Zerglings get a surround, their surface area is spread out around the entirety of your army, and the AoE from the Hellions is not as effective. And whenever you kind of shoot and run, it kind of keeps the Zerglings in one nice clumpy bulk line, and it kind of focuses all the AoE from the Hellions. And that's optimally what you want to do, is you want to shoot, run, and shoot, run. So let's just see some examples of a little bit of high-level gameplay here in 2v2. Okay, so right there, let me kind of dissect what we saw. So we saw the Hellions try to focus and get as many kills as possible on whatever was mostly around. Now, if possible, you want to try kill the Hellions with your Hellions if possible, if there's no Zerglings chasing you. I mean, basically what it comes down to in this situation is Hellion Zerglings versus Hellion Zerglings. Whoever comes out with the most Hellions usually ends up winning the game, just because Hellions are really cost effective against Zerglings. And you saw the Zerglings there try just to basically trap the Hellions. The Zerglings' job is to just surround the Hellions, get them trapped, and as soon as they can't move, they almost die instantly. They really don't last very long, and Zerglings can just come in there and just get a surround. So the job of the Zerglings is to go in there, get the surround, kill off a couple Hellions, and we saw like 1 or 2 Hellions get surrounded by Zerglings. They quickly die, and then they move on to the next group of Hellions. So like I said, the Zerglings are kind of like the blockers. They kind of get in there and just try and get the surrounds and just try and control the Hellions from moving around all over the map, and easily being able to, dodge the Zerglings, being really cost effective. So if you're controlling Zerglings, try to get the surround on the Hellions, and if you're the guy with the Hellions, just gotta shoot and run, and just keep doing that until you've basically killed all of their forces. So this is further along in that game, and let's just watch some of these fights play out. Blue Flame just now finished, and you can see right there, these Zerglings pretty much get toasted, and they got basically thrown away. Now, what you want to use is the Zerglings to surround Hellions, but in a situation like this, once the Terran player gets almost a critical number of Hellions, Zerglings are just so cost ineffective, and you really have to use them in coordination with the Hellions. 2v2 games are so focused on team play and working together. You can't just have one player do their own thing and another player do their own thing and then expect to win against a team that has a combined strategy, because it's usually far more effective. And in this situation, this player ended up getting his blue flame before the other player, and you can see that the number of Hellions just won easily, just chasing off the other number of Hellions. And even though the Zerg player with the teal player lost all of his Zerglings, it doesn't matter, because teal just has so many more Hellions. He's got blue flame, and red does have a lot of Zerglings here, but it's just not enough to matter. I mean, with that many Hellions, he could kill all those Zerglings with probably half as many of those Hellions. And at this point, just the number of Hellions wins, and that's pretty much how these games turn out most of the time. So once you get into the phase of the game where you already have quite a few number of Hellions, and you're out on the map just going around, fighting with them, trying to deal some damage, you'll want to focus so much of your APM on just controlling the Hellions. You'll just need to be paying attention all the time, because if you just look away for a second and your Hellions get wiped out due to a Zergling surround or something like that, the game's over. I mean, you just lose. So you really have to focus on your Hellions. You have to make sure, okay, am I going to get trapped? Am I constantly moving them? I mean, if you need to go back to your base just for a second, just to build some more Hellions and keep your macro up, build some supply depots, call down some mules, just click on your Hellions and just run away. Just have them run away for the time being. They're really fast, so they can easily just turn around and go attack as soon as you're done macroing up on your base. So just keep that in mind, that microing your Hellions is going to be your top priority once you get, over like 5 or 6 Hellions. You just want to keep focusing on them, keep them alive, and usually whoever has the most Hellions at the end wins. So I hope everybody enjoyed this 2v2 tutorial focusing on Terran, going fast Hellions. In the future, I'm going to cover some more 2v2 build orders specific to one side of the race or the other. I'll probably do the other side of this build, the Zergling build order. Pretty simple build order, but I'll talk about Zergling control and more stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'm going to have all these tutorials listed on my Terran. I got a playlist for Terran tutorials, one for Protoss, one for Zerg, so make sure to check out all those. So you can find some more build orders and stuff like that. If you have any questions or comments, just go ahead and post them in the channel or send me a message on YouTube. All that stuff works. And that's it for me. I hope everybody enjoys this. Good luck on ladder.